Welcome to the Living the Dream podcast with Curveball. If you believe, you can achieve. Welcome to the Living the Dream with Curveball podcast, a show where I interview guests that teach, motivate, and inspire. Today, I am joined by a professional actor, spokesperson, writer, author, and mentor, Kimberly Brandt. Walker's personality has been in the entertainment and advertising industry for over 25 years. She's appeared in international blockbuster films, TV shows, and advertisements and commercials for global brands. So we're going to be talking to her about everything that she's up to and everything that she's going to be up to and all that she's done. So Walker, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Curtis. Thank you for that lovely introduction. It's my pleasure. I look forward to this conversation.
Well, why don't you start off by telling everybody a little bit about yourself?
Well, my name is Kimberly Brandt, as Curtis just said. I have been an actress for 25 plus years. I'm also 25 years married, and I'm a bonus mom. And I am also a speaker advocate coach with Lisa Nichols, the incredible soul that she is. That's something that's new. I never in a million years would have thought I'd be doing what I'm doing now, but there's always a silver lining. And during the pandemic, I discovered, well, actually, right before the pandemic, Lisa came into my sphere. She showed up on my radar after asking, Lord, help me. I've hit a wall. I'm not enjoying myself completely anymore in my work as much as I used to. I know it's not it. I know it's me. I think I need some special mentorship. I need somebody that to come into my life to help me rise again and feel connected in a new way. And it was Lisa. So I met her. She told me something so powerful. My story doesn't belong to me. It belongs to the person I will help. I mean, really let that settle. Your story doesn't belong to you. It belongs to the person it may help. I had been taught to hide my story. I had been taught to, to hide anything that was a sign of weakness or potential judgment. Nobody knew I was a dyslexic. Nobody knew that I suffered with anxiety, that I had lived through what I had lived through. They just knew what they saw. And when I met her and she heard some of my story, that statement lit me up because I have always been somebody who wants to see people fly, see people happy, experience the joyous parts of life, no matter what we've been through. There's always silver lining and there's always something to find joy and gratitude for and about. And for what I had a blind spot. I just didn't connect that I was denying the possibility that I could help somebody by being even more vulnerable, even more courageous, to be frank. And so I ended up writing a book and it became an Amazon bestseller during the pandemic. And I started doing videos for the first time and talking to people as me, not through somebody else's words, not scripted dialogue like I had been used to. I used to hide behind my characters, which I think I'm not alone in that in my profession. And I had to get comfortable talking to people like you from my heart, from my soul, just as me, raw and real, as Lisa calls it. It took a minute. It really did take a minute. So I'm in process. I'm still expanding in that. And that's a little bit about me and where I'm at right now.
We'll talk about how you got into acting and being a spokesperson for global brands and stuff.
Okay. So that was a complete surprise and almost an accident, as as people often say, I never thought I would be an actor or a spokesperson. I never thought I would be a model or anything like that. It's not the way nobody in my family was, it's not the way I was raised or encouraged. But I had somebody come up to me when I was 17 years old and tell me that I should try modeling. And I literally thought the person was a predator. And so my reaction to them was not in any way supportive, or I put my hands out in front of me and just said, get away from me. But the person, he was persistent. He lived in the neighborhood that I was in. And to just give a little bit of perspective, I had left home at a very young age. I left home the first time at 13, again at 14, and permanently at 15. I was emancipated at 16 and fully an adult on my own prior to that, but at 16, completely responsible adult. And I was going to junior college studying psychology and child development, which is what I think a lot of people do when they've come from a dysfunctional, abusive family. And so I was working, putting myself through school and paying for my life, my footprint. It was on me. I didn't have any help of any kind. And somebody saw me working in a restaurant, which is what I did because I could work at night, and said, you should be a model. And I said, I laughed, literally laughed at them. And this photographer in the neighborhood said the same thing, but he kept persisting. And finally, my neighbors said, two of the neighbors came over to the people that were gracious enough to take me in when I was a runaway and in halfway houses, and I didn't have anywhere to go and anywhere to live. And they opened their door to me and took me into their home, became my family. My friend's mother encouraged me to consider allowing this person, this photographer who was connected to significant agents, elite model management specifically, and Wilhelmina at the time, and Ford. So I did, as long as he would allow me to take my friend's sister with me, which we did, because I wasn't going anywhere by myself with a man in a private space, especially a student. I know the first thing about somebody taking pictures of me. Well, he showed those pictures to elite model management, and they called me in, and that was the beginning of the rest of my life, essentially, outside of going to school and working in a restaurant and trying to figure out what I wanted to do. I moved to Italy less than a year later, and I lived there and began this new journey, this new adventure. And then after coming back, I found it extraordinarily boring, Curtis. I found it really boring standing there having people taking pictures of me. It just wasn't my jam. It wasn't something I ever did. And now it's like such a thing, the selfie thing. I'm not really good at that either. But I did become skilled in that world. And I did learn the profession, the moves, as they say, and how to pose and how to take pictures and how to show different characters is what I was doing. I would become a character for each shoot. And that kind of made me feel more protected than being completely vulnerable with who I was. And somehow that led to the next, which was becoming an actress, because one of my agents, I left elite management and went with another agency called Flame in Los Angeles. And my agent, Lynn Venturella, said, you're like a chameleon. Everybody's calling you a chameleon. You're an actor. And I didn't even know what an actor was. I was like, what is that? And she said, I'm just telling you, you're an actor. And she got a call for a role in a huge blockbuster movie titled City Slickers. And I went in and I read with the casting director. And then she called me in to read with Billy Crystal and Bruno Kirby and Ron Underwood and herself for a callback. And as they say, the rest is history. We had a great time improvising together, laughing together, and I discovered that I was actually I was good at something that I actually had fun at that made me feel comfortable and to kind of lit me up inside. I was like, wow, this is fun. This is really fun. I like this. And yeah, so that's how I got into it. And at that point, I had already been modeling for several years, but had taken a year off to paint and focus on other artistic things and interests and nature, which I have always found to be my healing space. So that is how I got in, to answer your question in not so short a way.
Well, let's talk about some of the international blockbuster films and commercials and advertisements that you've done, so listeners can check them out if they wish.
Okay. So I have my first film was City Slickers. I also did several TV shows. I did Star Trek, 90210, Beverly Hills 90210, Pretender. I've done a lot of different TV stuff. I did a series in Germany. But if you go to my website, you'll see some of the stuff I've done. Um, I've done films in South Africa. I did 2 films in South Africa, which was amazing. And one of them, I had the honor and blessing of working with Martin Sheen and the compounded honor of meeting Nelson Mandela right before he became president, which was a beautiful experience, a expanding experience for me as a person and as an artist to see what could be done with your work. Watching Martin Sheen spend so much time trying to make people more aware of what was going on in the world, that was really inspiring to me, and to be invited to meet such an incredible human being. I believe everything happens for a reason. And even though at the time I was so young and I also didn't know a lot about Nelson Mandela, I was in my early 20s, surviving, not quite thriving yet emotionally, but thriving in my work, but not emotionally, still very much in a healing state, I think that's always kind of a healing state, is we're always moving through stuff. But at that time, I was really still sifting through some profound trauma that I had lived through. So, having met this man who had been through so much pain and suffering, so much trauma, and seeing the light in his eyes, the joy that emanated from his being, the laughter, the excitement at meeting us, it literally washed into me. Like I was in the presence of a level of being in this human condition that I hadn't ever seen before, been that close to, and learned in that moment was attainable. That the depth of joy that we feel is a choice. This man spent over 25 years in prison and wrote a book about freedom before he was even out, and emanated such light, such forgiveness, such grace and kindness. It inspired me. Kind of made what I was doing for a living silly, but grateful at the same time because it brought me into his space. And I think that was a gift from God. I know it was, for me to see that. Really helped me to seek a deeper level of letting go and not blame but find and dig deep to find compassion and understanding. The next time I was in South Africa, I did a film. I did another film, which was a sci-fi film with Michael Pare. And it's just like I was drawn there twice for long periods of time. And it was so much fun to see this beautiful land. That experience as an actor, to be able to travel, to be able to experience different cultures. And it is such a gift and a blessing. I had never experienced anything like that before, and was so grateful to be in that, living that opportunity. After 1998, I took some time off to heal, to dig deep for forgiveness. I had gone through some difficulty, let's put it that way, just some challenges within the industry on a film where there was destructive behavior toward women, objectifying and not cool. There's a lot that we've heard about it from different producers, and the film I was working on, actually, the main producer was Miramax for that film. And there was an energy field that I didn't like, that I had discovered was in the industry. So I chose to take some time off and go back out into nature and commune with horses again, which has always been a healing place for me too. And then I met my husband. Well, I didn't meet him then. I knew him, but fell in love with him finally after 11 years, 13 years, actually. It's crazy. I knew him for 13 years before we actually got married and started dating, and then got married. But it was, yeah, when I reflect on it, it just amazes me how life is. Sometimes we can't see who's in front of us until we're ready. And I took time off film and TV and decided to focus on commercials and advertising so that I could be with my family, my husband, my new bonus child, and be present, which I learned previously was an impossibility, living out of a suitcase, traveling constantly. So that's when I focused on the advertising and commercials, Curtis. That's when I started doing a ton of commercials. I've shot probably 70 plus in my career, and thousands, literally thousands of advertising. You can Google online and you'll see some of what, and again, on my website, some of what I've done. That's the best way. I couldn't even begin to list them out, but there's a lot. A lot. I had a lot of fun working on commercials and advertising for a long time. I still do that. And I'm actually now just sort of putting my feet back into the waters of film and TV and exploring that, working with my coaches again, and working on film and play and television projects, and flexing that muscle again so I can dive back in to that side, which is really kind of exciting and fun.
Let's take a quick break.
Okay, everybody, it's Michael E. Cullen II.
And I'm Sesame and Carta from the All Too Real 2 podcast. We're passionate about movies, TV, and pretty much all things pop culture.
Dive into the chaos of failed sitcoms, direct-to-video sequels, and the quirky realms of cinema and TV.
Join us every Thursday for your dose of All Too Real 2 entertainment.
We'll guide you through debates like whether Howard the Duck qualifies as a superhero.
Ponder if Larry the Cable Guy could be the new Rock or Schwarzenegger.
Discover if some shows and movies should have stayed in the cutting room.
Ever heard of a sitcom featuring that dictator with the funny mustache? Well, we watched it.
We're dedicated to unraveling the peculiarities of pop culture, sometimes with awesome guests.
So, if you're into the eccentric world of pop culture,
listen and subscribe to All Too Real 2.
Available wherever you find podcasts
and on Age of Radio.
Well, I know you mentioned that that you started coaching. So tell
Yeah.
the listeners about your coaching and what one can expect if they work with you.
Okay. So when I met Lisa, of course, if you know who Lisa Nichols is, you know that she's an incredible coach and speaker. She has a natural ability to help, especially speakers, speak from their soul, from their heart, from such an authentic place, a real place that really is the separation between us and everyone else. And it's so interesting because it is also the same way in acting. You can try and be what they want, but it's better to be who you are. And if it fits the role, it'll fit the role. If it doesn't, it's not meant for you. And I didn't realize I had that skill to coach and help people discover their unique voice, to find their way through the protections that they have in expressing their truth and their voice in the unique way that only they can. We often reach a place of stuckness because of even creating success, just like I did. I had created a lot of success, yet I hit a ceiling because there wasn't a balance between listening to the voice inside and listening and speaking it on the outside. That's so important, to be your unique self in this world. I don't think any of us came into this space to be like anyone else. I think we came here with something unique to do. Like you, Curtis, are doing this podcast. You're an amazing listener. You have a calming voice, and those are your superpowers. You give people the space to share who they are, and you find it interesting. You find it beneficial. And so your listeners are able to experience this because you're driven to do it. When I coach speakers, they usually arrive to me with this burning desire to do something that they know they're called to do, but they haven't learned how to speak that way inside and or on the outside. And we first have to speak it on the inside and give ourselves that grace before we can speak it on the outside. So when I coach people, that's what I do. I help them bridge between those two places and give them the guidance they need to stand on their story. And this I do in Lisa's community mostly. This is her wheelhouse, her specialty, her gift is to help people reach inside, find what they're here for, and share it with the world. That's what she's done for 25 plus years. She had no idea that this is what she would be doing. And especially now in this era where we live in a influencer economy is what people are, what the definition of it is now, is people aren't as concerned with seeing a laundry list of credentials as they are feeling a connection and experiencing who a person is and feeling a sense of trust with their most delicate experiences and fears. And because I went through, I have to, give myself credit where credit is due. I have no issues with courage. Courage has been a thing that I faced my whole life. I had to survive in the first place, but then to thrive, to switch that from surviving to thriving, took a commitment to myself to be able to speak outside my story, outside myself, to face the potential of judgment, to look at that fear that kept everything suppressed for so long, that made me think I had to be the way they wanted me to be, and to not share because people would think that there was something wrong with me or that I was not reliable. I had all the evidence I created through my success was reliability and capability and professionalism and all those things. But when you are not speaking your truth, when you're hiding behind a judgment about who you are, it doesn't allow you to fully be the you're here to be. So it's like almost like a half-life life, like there's a veneer between you and where instinctually you want to be and you're meant to be. So when I coach people, I help them bridge that. That's what my job is. And it is such a blessing to witness when somebody discovers that once they say it out loud, that, oh, doesn't mean that I have to always live in that pain or live in that place, but it's part of me. And owning it gives me, it's like part of my foundation. It can be part of what I can stand on and support me. It can help somebody through helping somebody else. It becomes even stronger of a foundation. Because for me, there's nothing more rewarding than sharing something with somebody and that look in their face of, oh, and then the words, wow, I can do that. And then the breakthrough of sharing something that they never heard outside themselves. And then the awareness of, I can do that. And I survived that. It wasn't as bad as I thought. And once that starts happening, Curtis, you start recognizing how many of the tales you're telling yourself, how many of those stories that maybe didn't start as yours, that were handed down to you, ended up becoming more anchored in you because of what you may have been adding to them with influence, judgment, or an experience, fears. I don't believe we're born with fears. I think we learn them. So kind of get to that point where you can allow yourself to feel the fear and go forward anyway.
Let's take a quick break.
If you're a podcast host or someone wanting to be interviewed on podcasts as a guest, visit podmatch.com. Podmatch automatically connects ideal podcast guests and hosts together for interviews. We always say it works just like a dating app, but instead of connecting you for dates, it connects you for podcast interviews. Podmatch has connected over 85,000 guests and hosts together for interviews that listeners love, all while saving you countless hours of administrative work through built-in automations. If you're ready to level up your podcast interviews on either side of the mic, start today by visiting podmatch.com.
Well, you're also a writer, so tell the listeners about your books and where to get them and what they can expect when they read them.
Okay. Like I said at the beginning, I started writing during the pandemic, and well, I wrote my book during the pandemic. I've written scripts and poetry for years, and it's always been a cathartic experience for me to write down some of what I lived through. And I used to do what was called, and it may still be called this in some circles, automatic writing, which is when I was dealing with something really painful that I couldn't get past my own limited perspective of what it was or the pain. I would talk to God and I would say, guide me, tell me what is the answer to this. I'd write out the pain as in present tense, as if I were living it in that moment again, and ask for help. What do I do? And I would get amazing answers from the deep wisdom inside me that's connected to God. And I believe the innocence and the wisdom that all of us have inside is rooted with our Creator. And if we seek it, we will get. That's seek and you shall find. It really is true. You will find the answers if you seek them. It takes determination and courage. And we can find that within ourselves. And if we can't find it within ourselves alone, there's communities out there that you'd be surprised how many people are right there ready to catch you in that moment. And that is what I found in Lisa's community, because I needed somebody to catch me when it became too overwhelming. I had always wanted to write a book, but I didn't know that I could. Again, why would anybody want to hear my story? Or, you just don't. Often when you've been through trauma, the feeling worthy of that kind of expression is a huge hurdle. It's a roadblock until you choose to take a different route. And often we need somebody to help us with that. I certainly did. And so I just started writing, and it flowed through me so intensely. I started sharing what I did, the milestones that caused some of the deepest trauma in my life, how I moved through it, what my points of strength were, where I found my solace and recharged my battery, how I found some of the answers, some of my personal habits, self-care habits. And I put it all together in a book called Awaken, Discovering Yourself Through the Light of Your Innocence. And I'm in the midst of my second, and have a collaboration that I'm thinking about doing as well. So it's important, I think, to express that once you kind of let the genie out of the bottle, that your own genie that you may have trapped unwittingly, that may have gotten a little scared and jumped in there from an experience, but then you may have not realized that you were sort of putting the cap on yourself. Once you let that genie out, you have no idea where it will take you. You have no idea. And that is part of the fun and the adventure of life, is embracing that unknown, being okay with not knowing what may come, but trusting that what you're doing, what you're giving yourself, the freedom to speak your truth, the freedom to express yourself, and the freedom to not hold on to labels and conditioning, as a friend of mine calls it, conditioning, and influences that aren't serving you, will allow that magic carpet to show up and allow you to soar into places you never thought you would. And that's kind of where I've been, and that's what I'm up to in the world now, is collaborating with people that are of that like-minded place, that don't want to have their story written for them, want to participate in writing their own story, and want to be a light in the world and try and help this world find peace and help people to heal from the obvious pain and suffering that it seems humanity's holding on to right now. We're in a turning point. There's a lot of disruption right now. And being somebody who tries to shine the light and supports and collaborates with people that are doing the same, we lock arms and we move forward in that direction. And that is what my writing and my current direction in that particular genre is about.
Well, I know you mentioned a couple of things, but tell us about any other upcoming projects that you're working on that listeners need to be aware of.
Well, I can't talk about the work I do because everything is NDA. So in the entertainment industry, you can't even mention a commercial or any ad because you have to sign an NDA. I did do a little project that was a passion project for a young director, and it'll be in festivals soon. And it's short. It's not a full feature, but it's a beautiful story about her mother that she wrote, whose mother was going through dementia. And that was a very heartfelt project to be a part of. So that is called Sandwiched. And I work with Lisa all the time. We just literally finished a 3-day boot camp called CCC Boot Camp. And it was amazing. It was a group of gladiators, as Lisa calls them, all up leveling, excuse me. I mean, we're all becoming, but all up leveling in their business and wanting to expand their ability to impact the world in a more positive way and be the light they are in the world. I think it's that time right now. So in the coaching world, if you see what Lisa's up to, I'm likely attached somewhere. She has a program called Ignite Your Speaking, and it is an amazing program. I coach within that program. So if you're a speaker and you want to learn how to speak impactfully and connect deeply with your audience, that program is gold. It's a treasure. And I work in that program a lot with Lisa. And then when she has has events like Speak and Write, I host the virtual side of it with my partner, Raymel Bentley. And yeah, so that along with my working with my coaches for my craft as an actor. I'm working in my craft 3 days out of the week, if not more, with my coaches just on that. And then if I'm not doing that, I'm working with Lisa. So yeah, my schedule is pretty full. I also have family, which comes first for me. So if I'm not with my family, I'm up to one of those two universes.
Also, listeners can keep up with everything that you're up to. Throw out your contact info, your website, and any other contact info.
Yes, my social media, my Instagram, Walker Kimberly, I am Walker Kimberly, is a great way to see what I'm up to. I'm also on TikTok, Walkie Talk. I'm also on LinkedIn, Walker Kimberly Brandt. And what are the other ones? Yes, I'm on Facebook too, which is Walker Kimberly. It used to be Walker Brandt, but it was hacked during the pandemic, which I guess a huge number of people in the millions had their legacy accounts hacked during that period and then just shut down. Might have never opened up millions of accounts. It was just a crazy period of time. And so those accounts, my new accounts are Walker Kimberly. You can find me. You'll be able to recognize me on them, but the links are on my website, walkerbrandt.com. And you can connect to any of those platforms through that website, learn more about me, learn what I'm up to and what I've been up to, and also reach out to me at walkerbrandt.com and connect that way.
Close us out with some final thoughts, maybe if that was something I forgot to talk about that you would like to touch on, or any final thoughts you have for the listeners.
My final thoughts today are finding the grace within yourself to show grace to any and everyone you come in contact with, whether you agree with them or not, that we're all human beings trying to figure out this experience of life, trying to find our way through life. And I think the most powerful gift that we can give one another is grace and temperance, threaded with as much love and kindness that we can manage, especially now. So if there's somebody that has irritated you consistently in your family or friendship or in media, shine some light on them, say a prayer, and hope that they find peace and you find peace with their differences. I think that's what we need more than anything right now, is being able to allow people to have differences and remember that we're all children of God and we're all here together. And the more love and grace and kindness we show one another, the better our world will be. And that is what our responsibility is to promote that. That's my
All
final.
right, ladies and gentlemen, check out Walker Brandt. Check out everything that she's up to. Check out the book. Check out the films, commercials, and all the stuff that she's going to be up to. Follow, rate, review, share this episode to as many people as possible. Follow us on your favorite podcast platform, and to leave feedback and suggestions for the show, sign up for the newsletter. Visit www.curveball337.com. Thank you for listening and supporting the show. And Walker, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join me.
Thank you, Curtis. It's been a pleasure speaking to you. And thank you for allowing me the opportunity to share and connect with your audience.
For more information on the Living the Dream with Curveball podcast, visit www.curveball337.com. Until next time, keep living the dream.